Sugar. Hey everybody, it's your girl PJamma from PJamma Life. And today we are watching WandaVision, the penultimate episode. For those of you who read big words of the day, we're almost done. And so why don't we're going to talk about it, rip it up, catch it up. So, how about you guys introduce yourselves?
Well, hello, everybody. I'm David. Thank you for joining us tonight. I hope you've had as much fun watching WandaVision as we have. If you haven't seen it, then be ready for some spoilers because we're going to dish on all the great stuff that happened on Friday night.
Yup.
Everybody, it's Patrick. Glad you're here. Lots of good stuff to look at. Got some ideas. Everybody will just bounce them around and see what everybody thinks. And like Dave said, if you haven't watched it, this is probably not the show you should be watching tonight.
Yeah, we got to chop it up. So we'll try to warn you before the spoilers, but it's pretty much all going to be a spoiler. So, how about we go ahead and show some clips of this week's episode, WandaVision, previously on.
All you do is lie!
You didn't think you were the only magical girl in town, did you? The name's Agatha Harkness. Lovely to finally meet you, dear.
I need you to tell me how you did this. I didn't do anything.
I'm sorry. Did you forget who's got your children stashed away in her bewitched basement?
I don't want to go back there.
I know you don't. But it's good medicine, Angel. The only way forward is back.
Sir, the team is ready for lunch.
It's about time.
Oh, wow. I know that we have finally discovered that Hayward is a villain. I knew it. I knew he was a villain. He just looked like a villain, and I don't like him. He's a villain. So, oops, spoilers. So, why don't we, David, why don't you start off with your thoughts and opinions about this week's episode?
Well, the show just keeps getting better and better. And one of the things that I really love about it, if you stay with it the whole time, now maybe somebody who watched they got confused with the sitcoms and the black and white to start off with. I loved it, but what this whole thing has done is, even if you are not an avid comics book reader, if you're not steeped in the lore, like say Patrick is, and who's been able to teach us so much, taught me a lot during these times about this story, it allows you to be brought in and then just kind of get carried along in the waves of the show. Just incredible how you kind of do the backstory of why we did the sitcoms, what these meant to And let's say it now, the Scarlet Witch. Nothing is thrown out there as just like extra dialogue. She got her name in this movie, in this TV show, Scarlet Witch, connecting back to the comics, and it was just fantastic. Agatha is just the tremendous comic book villain that we've been wanting. I kind of thought maybe because it's that actress and her talent, she was going to be the one. And last week we saw it, and this week it just is culminating. It is just breathtaking to watch. I'm having a ball. I got the popcorn out, and it's must-see TV every Friday for me.
Hey, Pat, what you thinking?
Well, okay. I got some things, some thoughts after rewatch. I watched it obviously Friday night, and I rewatched it again today before we came on here. And the second watch through, I'm not thinking Agatha is a bad person.
Mm-hmm.
She is basically doing magical psychoanalysis. She's making her go through the traumatic periods of her life so that she can move past them. I'm really thinking, I know, except for, I mean, really, they're throwing a lot of real bad head fakes. At the beginning, they do the opening sequence with her and all the witches, and she kills her mom even, I mean, during her power. And they're really leading you to this belief that she's trying to steal the power, to use it for herself. But I really think that she's going to turn out at the end of this to have been, making her do the hard work. That like psychologists always say, you got to do hard work to get better. She's making her do the hard work, of having to go through, relive that part where she got her powers. And, the other neat little tidbit I thought was interesting is that she points out that Wanda had her powers before she was exposed to the Infinity Stone, which is what they kind of hint through the Avengers, that she got her power because Hydra did all these experiments on her and her brother, and that's how they got their powers. Well, she used a probability hex on that Stark mom there, so it didn't go off. Agatha talks about that. So she had her powers back when she was a little kid, which is very typical of the way the mutants, which she's a mutant in comics, that's how their powers was first manifested, was when they were put into a period of extreme stress, and that's what made Cyclops' eyes burst out lasers, and Peter, it turned into a Colossus the first time, to protect his sister from the bullets of the Nazis. I mean, all these things happen during periods of intense stress, such as having a bomb taken from your head. It turned her mutant powers on, I believe. And what we're going to do, I can see this going one of two ways, really. This is either a big lead-in for Loki, which is coming up, I think, this fall. Because when Agatha takes her down to the basement, she talks about, you see these runes?
Right.
Runes are a Norse magical style that Odin actually sacrificed his eye on the tree of Yggdrasil, or however you pronounce that, in order to gain knowledge of runes. It's Norse magic. So maybe leading us into the beginning of Loki, or we could be with the chaos magic stuff. We could be going into the multiverse of madness, the Doctor Strange movie. They've been doing a really good job of building up all these other properties. And if you've got a little bit of this, stupid comic book knowledge, which is useless anywhere else but here, you see some of these things coming together, and it's super exciting. I mean, I can't wait to see the next episode. They gave you that big teaser that you guys led almost up to in your trailer you put on. Maybe it's the Bad Vision, kind of the Spock with a goatee thing going on here. I don't know where we're going.
Yes, my favorite Spock.
I know. Evil Spock is always the best. Evil was actually better, but okay, whatever. But so there we are. I mean, I'm super excited. There's so much stuff to unpack in each episode, and on multiple watchings, you get more and more. I mean, really, you just the first time you're just like, whoa, and then go back through and you're like, hey, wait a minute, awesome. Good stuff. What'd you think, Pam?
I thought there was a lot to unpack, and I absolutely agree. Kind of. What kind of throws me, and hopefully it's just another deep fake, which is that Agatha is a villain because, as you saw, the initial sign turned from red to purple. And purple usually signifies villains in, the comics and Marvel universe. Purple is usually the color of villains. So I don't know, but having a background in counseling, that sometimes you have to go hard in on a client to get them to begin the work. And so it did make me wonder if she was trying to get her to face the trauma, face the emotional break before her powers completely go out of control. So I'm with you there that this may all be a therapy session. And then there was another hint where it said that nothing bad ever really happens and that everything turns all right at the end. You come awake from a bad dream. And so I know I didn't get that exactly right, but that's why I say to people, if you've ever seen the movie Annihilation, this kind of reminds me of what Annihilation is. And I just thought that Agatha, because really the episode was 2, maybe 3 origin stories. It was Wanda's origin story, Agatha Harkness's origin story, kind of recreated, I guess, from the comics, but somebody else's origin story that may go forward that you also saw in the comics. So I thought that was interesting that they did Agatha's story at the very beginning. I thought that was pretty cool, so that you got a background on her. And because it kind of made me think, so let's say she's good and she's trying to help Wanda. And my thought was she's trying to help her so that she doesn't have the same mistakes she had when she destroyed her whole family. Right. So maybe she's trying to help her. So I thought that was pretty cool. I also thought that you also got some clues about the commercials kind of in this too, because remember the first commercial was the toaster with the blinking light. And it was like the blinking light that the bomb was in their house. It was the same light. And I was like, okay. So I still think that the commercials have to do with not only, I still think it's cool if they are the Infinity Stones, but maybe they're also a clue to Wanda's different parts of her trauma and different parts of the story she just told this week. So you saw some of the outcomes of that, because it seemed like it's still tied into Wanda's story. But I think there's another theme that keeps going throughout, which is Hydra. You still keep seeing Hydra in the mix of this. So if you look really closely in one of the Wanda and Pietro were recruited by Hydra.
Right.
Then on one of the doors that she went through had the Hydra symbol. And then there was another, the soap in the bath commercial had the Hydra soap. And then the watch was a Hydra watch. So I think there's still some kind of nemesis in Hydra in this mix too, which I think it's Hayward. I think Hayward is Hydra, or this maybe Sword is actually a reformulation of Hydra that's come. I don't know, but I think he's Hydra. I think he wants the weapon for himself, and it made me mad. I was like, that creep, when he created that fake video about Wanda coming in and stealing Vision. And then this episode, you saw that she actually didn't steal him. She, was upset. She didn't fight, and she left and went to Westview, where you found out that Vision had bought property for them to, have a whole new life. And if you look, I thought that was something really interesting I saw when I was looking at all the Easter eggs. The date on there was the same date in the first episode with the heart, and the heart represented on the map where they were going to have their new house and their new life together. So I thought this episode called back to a lot of the fun parts. But I saw some other things from it. You guys tell me what you think. I could be out there, but they also called to a lot of recent movies too, like the Crystallum, what was it, Possession? Wasn't that kind of like the Imperious Curse? Harry Potter?
The actual phrasing she used, she said Imperio, and I heard that, and I was like,
I was like,
okay. Also, she picked that hair off of her, which was very much like what Doctor Strange did in Ragnarok to Thor.
Yeah.
And, he asked Guardian thing, and he did his little, all that going on. I was like, hair is apparently a great medium to do sorcery with.
Yeah, that's in a lot of sorcery kind of magic kind of stuff, is you're taking someone's essence, and hair has DNA, right. So if you take someone's hair, you take their DNA. And I was like, oh, okay, that's really kind of clever to kind of capture people who may not be familiar with Marvel, but are familiar with magic, because runes are a big part of magic in storytelling. That is one of the key things. It's not just Norse, it's just storytelling about witchcraft and sorcery, and those kind of arts use runes and have for thousands of years. So I thought that was a nice kind of callback. And there was somebody's symbol was in one of the runes. I think it was Doctor Strange. One of the runes represented something to do, I think, with Doctor Strange. So it might be interesting to see if he comes in to the genre. But I also thought that before I leave that, did you guys catch there was kind of a Buffy the Vampire reference in there too?
I didn't. I never did Buffy.
Yeah, so she said that so in a lot of women's superhero stories, sometimes it's always they come into being as a myth. Like Buffy was the mythical vampire slayer, and Wanda is the mythical Scarlet Witch. And that happens a lot in kind of superhero. Wonder Woman is kind of a myth. She was born of, the gods and, stuff like that. So I don't know why we can't just get kick-ass power and just beat up people, but, we got to be some kind of myth in order to do it. But, that was okay. So I thought that was kind of cool that, there's this kind of, she's the ancestors' faith turned to flesh. No.
There you go.
So, but I also thought this episode really, and throughout, talking about grief. And I thought one of the most beautiful lines of the night was, isn't grief is the preservation of love? And I just thought that was so lovely to say about grief, that it's not just, what you've lost, but you're also still hanging on to the love that you have. It becomes destructive when you can't move beyond it, and you can't remember anything but being trapped in your grief, which I think when she was talking about it, Monica Rambeau used the same language kind of she did to talk about what it was like being inside the hex. And it was this overwhelming feeling of, and Wanda described it as, the waves crashing over her. And every time she tried to stand up, they just drowned her again. And so that's a way to describe being in a sense of overwhelming grief. And so I think that this is such a I wonder if next week I just hope they don't do like Bobby and Pam and she's on the couch in the therapist's office and it was all a dream. I mean,
I don't. Now that would be the ultimate like come back to television moment if they did that.
Bob Newhart waking up in bed with a
right, which was the worst.
Actually, I thought the Bob Newhart one was hilarious. I'm not gonna lie. That woke up in bed with Suzanne Plachette. Yeah, there was a good throwback to the other TV show. I thought that was
Newhart,
not Bob Newhart, the Newhart show. And he woke up at the last episode, and it's Suzanne Plachette. She goes, I was a owner of an inn in Vermont, and I was married to a blonde. And she goes, a blonde, Bob. And she goes back to bed. I was like, yes, that's awesome.
That was great.
Oh my God.
It was meta before meta was meta.
Right. And it was the last episode. It wasn't like they were just kind of like go back. It's like, okay, we got a contract deal, so we're just going to ignore this whole year. Which actually, that season of Dallas that they were erasing was actually a pretty good season. It was really good character development. It was a good story, and then they just walked it away. But for me, and I might be in the minority, and I'll defer to your all's Marvel magic and your knowledge, and we'll see what happens next week. I see Agatha as a villain. She killed a dog in her own story. She killed her whole group.
It wasn't even a real dog.
It's a dog. PETA does not differentiate between the real and the magical dog. She killed a dog. She's kidnapped children, whether they're real or not. She's kidnapped.
But are they really kidnapped? Are they really in danger? That was my thing looking at it. I was like, I don't think they're really in danger.
Wanda, okay, kidnapping implies it was against the parents' will. Wanda sent those kids off with Agatha back in breaking the fourth wall. She sent them off. Yeah, go with Agatha. I'm just gonna have a me day. So she sent her children willingly to the witch.
Oh,
she did. Y'all know it. Y'all remember it. This is just video evidence.
I don't think we've got consent in that. I think that was kidnapping.
You
I
did
think we got some violence here. I can't go with that. We will see what happens. But she killed her own group. She's killed a dog. Well, if you kill a dog, that just says you're a bad dude. That's the
way. Right now, I know,
But we don't know that the dog is actually dead.
Well, she said it was.
We don't know at this point. I'm not sure of anything.
She said it.
Yeah, but the dog was just wrapped up, right? So, but what I thought was interesting was that rabbit. So, is
the rabbit and the bug
a rabbit, or is the rabbit another transmuted person or being? Because remember, she was talking to it and saying, she thinks that, she's the only one. Or it's funny how something, she was talking to the rabbit. So I wonder, and it's still something that, at least I'm still holding on to Mephisto or some other villain with her, if she's going to be a villain. Maybe it's Mephisto or something, but because it's Senior Scratchy, and Scratch is the name of the devil in some,
Well, okay, but also consider the fact that witches always have familiars, especially in the Salem era. They always had a black cat or whatever was their familiar, kind of their link to their.
And she had a nefarious familiar.
And so she could have rabbit now. It could be the rabbit now. And Senior Scratchy could be her link.
I don't want it. I wanted to have her black cat that turns into like
something that fit into the sitcom world.
People when she needs them to go after the villain.
If she did Sabrina, maybe then we could have had the black cat familiar. As one of her sitcoms.
Yeah.
But there's one thing that I don't know if you guys thought about this, but I after watching this again, I have one question for Marvel. Where's Pietro and Vision?
Good question.
Because they didn't show up. They didn't show up at all in this episode, and they left us in the post-credit spoiler on the last one. Like Snooper's going to snoop. what are they snooping at? What are they going to do? What's coming up? Are we going to get Pietro back, and we're going to get the good Pietro, not the horrible one that was in the movies? Because that would be awesome.
That was interesting. I was going to say that.
Love that.
Yeah, that they he wasn't even in the credits this episode, and he's been in the credits for the other times he's been available. Even when he wasn't in the episode, he had a credit. So it'll be interesting to see if he attacks Monica and they get into it, or if, you know, he just disappears now that she doesn't need his illusion anymore. So I hope he comes back. I liked him better anyway. As
he's a great actor.
So yeah, he's a fantastic actor. And it would be pretty cool to see him come back. So
I think they're gonna have to circle it all around again, because you're gonna have Evil Vision coming in with the Hydra dude. They're gonna come in, then you're gonna have Good Vision and Pietro line up on the right side with Photon and
Photon.
And you're gonna get them all together.
Spectrum. I want it to be called Photon.
and then you're gonna have Darcy, you know, doing her science wizardry, because she's in there too. I mean, they kind of dropped off an entire branch of the story this episode, and went back. Let's do this recap on how everybody got to where we're at. And then next episode, which is the last one, I believe, isn't it?
Yeah, this is it.
Well, all these loose ends are going to get tied up, and you're going to have Vision and Pietro, and then you have Bad Vision and Thor douchebag going to come out. I can't remember his name. I've already written him off. He's just Thor douchebag. He's going to show up, and they're going to have this big ass fight, you know, and they're going to, and I can see real Vision and fake Vision having to die, because I don't know if Paul Bettany's
if they kill off Vision
again for the third time,
it's gonna it's just gonna be too much. Stop bringing them back if you go keep killing favorite characters. I don't like that. And but let me say hi. We got a new person who joined us, Tanya Mims. Hi. Yeah. And so we're glad for those who are able to join us. But I think that I want to know from you all, how do you think they will integrate this into the Marvel Universe? Do you think that they will continue on with magic, or that they will branch off into more of, you know, they have powers either from the gods or the mutants? You think that they will fully integrate mutants into Marvel now?
Well, the next thing that I understand that we're going to see Wanda, the Scarlet Witch, it's going to be in the next Doctor Strange. And so that to me is all about the magic. So they might do a segue and continue to bridge this mutant concept. But my understanding is we'll see her next in Doctor Strange. And so to me, that's just going to be all magic out. So we'll kind of see where it goes. Patrick?
Why not both? I mean, you can obviously they're going to continue the magic, because they're going to, I mean, that's already on the books. They've got production crews rolling and stuff. They got that ball's already rolling. They're going to do the magic. Doctor Strange is already on the books. Benedict Cumberbatch has already signed his ticket. Olsen's on it. I mean, there's people, that's going to happen. The magic's happening. You can't put that genie, no pun intended, back in the bottle. But as far as the mutants, now that's the thing I'm really wanting to see if they're really ready to pull the trigger on bringing the mutants in, because why wouldn't you? I mean, there are such great lines, and you know, you can really do some real. I mean, not to say that Sony didn't do a good job with the whole X-Men franchise. They did several parts that were really good, and they did some real stinkers too. But I mean, you're going to have issues recasting things if you want to go in there, because I'm not going to lie, Hugh Jackman was Wolverine.
Yeah.
I mean, you find another guy that's going to sell that the way Hugh Jackman sold that. Good luck.
Yeah.
I would say Halle Berry was Storm. I mean, come on.
And no, well, she wasn't a great Storm.
Compared to the one that Dark Phoenix
somebody. Yeah, she was terrible. But I could see somebody else taking on Storm. One of these new up and coming actresses. I could see doing it. But I don't know how you bring in. I don't know who's going to be Professor X. Is he going to be in there?
Are we going to do McAvoy? Because he could, but he didn't look right bald. I'm just going to tell you that. It was not right.
Nah, that was
Patrick Stewart owned the bald because, well, he is bald. But, yeah, and good looking man at bald. You know, this is the guy who we put in charge. You give him a starship, you give him the Xavier students. You know, man, he's the man. You want to give him stuff, but
I mean, and will Deadpool come into the Marvel universe? You know, I'm trying to see how he would come up in there, and but you know, technically he's not. Well, yeah, I take it back. I was going to say he's not a mutant because they put adamantium, but he wouldn't have survived if he wasn't already a mutant with healing power. So, I just don't know. I don't know. They would have to pretty much start from scratch with the.
Yeah, it's going to be a start from scratch maneuver if they want to try to bring it in. It depends on how they want to do it. I mean, there's several different ways you could go with this. I mean, you could, instead of bringing in the whole X-Men, you could do X Factor. You could do X-Force. You could bring in like Cable, and you could have new real characters. Yeah. I mean, Brolin did Cable in Deadpool. He's still young enough. He could still pull that off for several movies, I think. I mean, he's older, but I mean, Cable's half machine. So just like Deadpool, you're going to have a lot of CGI and stuntmen doing all of the crazy stuff. And as long as you get someone who can act, like Ryan Reynolds, who's super comedic, works perfect for Deadpool. You get Josh Brolin, who could be really super serious, perfect for Cable. You could go in and do X-Force, you know, or you know, I mean, there's several things there's ways you could go to the mutants if you wanted to, without having to literally reinvent the wheel with all the other mutants that we come to know and love. I mean, Wolverine is iconic, and he's been really owned by Hugh Jackman. He's been in like 12 movies.
It was like 17.
Shit ton.
It was like a ridiculous amount. And it's the same thing to me with, there's talk about recasting the Black Panther and putting in, the recent person I heard was Regé-Jean, the Bridgerton dude, Simon, the Bridgerton guy. And bringing him in to be the Black Panther. No. Dude, it's
I can see him.
Regé-Jean Page, I think that's his name. Page or
I can see him being T'Challa maybe, but you know, the smart thing for them to do is to just do what comics did. T'Challa went away and did his thing, and Shuri became the Black Panther. You've already got an actress playing Shuri. She's already part of the Royal Navy. She's already in the MCU. Right. Bring her in and have her just take over while my brother decided to go take a sabbatical and, you know, wherever he went.
Or he died. Yeah. He died, and she's the Black Panther, and then she hands off the mantle in a decade or so to somebody else. Yeah. But to have somebody just
be T'Challa,
do it.
Right.
Nah.
Because it's built in to have a succession. The Black Panther in its own story there's a line of succession. So the tragic, untimely death of this amazing actor and Chadwick Boseman, you can put that in the story and then kind of build on without in any way, you know, hurting his image, because there will be fans who'll feel that the story is kind of doing a disservice to the actor and to the original film if you don't do that. But honor that and move the character on. Like Green Lantern, it can get passed on. We've seen that with Batman when you go to the DC comics. Taboo maybe to bring them up here, but you know, you've seen that where new people take on that mantle. You can, you know, there are certainly great elements and opportunities to do that. But you mentioned Deadpool. how in the world is Disney and the mouse and this uber politically correct Pollyanna world, how are they going to deal with Deadpool and Ryan Reynolds, who has really been able to bring his trademark little snarky comments and that great voice tone that he brings with the R-rated films? How's Disney going to be able to embrace that, accept that?
I don't know, because but is Marvel going to become Disney, or is it still going to keep its separate identity?
Disney is all,
and they're going to have to keep its separate identity, because you can't have them in like some of those properties are, and so you can't have them. Oh golly gosh darn!
Well, you can't, but
that would be hilarious. Actually, that would be a hilarious bit for the first Deadpool movie. They want to do it PG. He can be like making what the, and then they put like, and they could dub a voiceover, and he'd be like, yeah, because he breaks the fourth wall. He makes fun of that kind of stuff. Yeah. Even in the book, he does. So it might lend itself well to it, but at the same time, it'll really take away some stuff, because the thing is, adults will understand exactly what he was saying. What the. And he says fudge, out of the side of it. And people are going to, adults going to get it. Kids ain't going to get it until they get older. They're going to go, oh my God, but they could get away with that. But my God, I hope they don't. I hope they just own it as our property.
I don't see Disney. That wouldn't be smart, I think, for Disney. And I think they just need to keep it separate. So what's Marvel is Marvel. What's Disney? Star Wars, Disney Star Wars stuff. So, because you never got a lot of R-rated stuff in Star Wars properties anyway.
Well, you never did before, which makes it somewhat. But Disney, let's be real to the audience. Disney is an Orwellian organization.
Oh, my God.
They absolutely are Orwellian in the way they do things, in the way they talk. They track you on their property like it's 1984. They know where you are before you go there, as they tell you, well, we hope you have a magical day. It gets a little scary. Even the CocaCola, the wonderful CocaCola, they'll have this set up like this 1950s looking classic little area, and you'll see the old glass bottles in the distance, and I can't wait to have one of those. And you go up and touch it, and you see the little drops of dew where it's really cold and it's out there. It's not real. The dew is fake. It's all plastic. It was tragic. It is Disney. Disney takes beautiful Americana and then plasticizes it in some ways. I hope that doesn't happen. They've done it to Star Wars. They've done it to Star Wars. They might do it to Deadpool. So we have to be careful.
Nah, I don't think so.
I think there's too much money.
Yeah. Deadpool made
hundreds
of millions.
They can trip over themselves some. They've tripped over themselves in Mulan. They will trip over
I really watched that.
Yeah, that's bad when the cartoon was 10 times better than the live action version. But you know what? I find that with all of those trying to take the original cartoons and then make them into live action, The Lion King, nah. I don't know. People might disagree, but I thought it wasn't good, nearly as good. Mulan, nah. Jungle Book, nah. It's just those were so well done.
Yeah, they were.
And they had the best actors in them. You just no. Aladdin, no. I'm all for the diversity of it, but
Will Smith is not Robin Williams, and it's kind of like trying to recast Chadwick Boseman. It's probably a similar thing, and it didn't work.
Like Hugh Jackman. Robin Williams was iconic. That's it. He crushed it. You can't repeat it. It's not to me. Everybody else is just gonna come off looking, second place. So stop doing that. Don't put them through that. I would never. Now, an original character, sign up for it. But somebody who's done it to the A to Z, don't take that role. That's not a good look. And Aladdin was not a good look for Will Smith. That was like fail.
I suspect his check cleared just like everybody else's, so he wasn't. He
it
didn't care.
was a nice one too, but
Well, he made some good money from Wild Wild West too. But
Ooh, yeah.
Okay, but I liked Wild Wild West, so I'm sorry.
You were wrong, Pam. Okay, so you know you were totally wrong. Me and Dave were both
a great TV show.
like this.
I mean, it was a great TV show, and it was a fun, silly, dumb movie. And so
It Kenneth Branagh's low point. So you
and
know.
it had a great soundtrack come out of it. So you know, I mean,
Okay.
I know. Hey, we can't all be winners.
No, that's true. That's true.
So, but we are a bunch of winners watching the winning show of WandaVision. Do we have any final words from the people? Let's start with you, Pat.
You know, I will tell everybody who's watching this and everybody who's into this that next week you'll see the last episode. Then I would suggest, as a smart move, for everybody to go back and watch episode 1 through episode 13. I think it's 13. Whatever the last episode is, watch the 8. It just seems like 13. It was so good. But let's just go. You know, I would watch the whole series again before we want to talk about it, because I can tell you there's going to be stuff in there that we should have seen. Mm-hmm. I can guarantee you the way that this whole series is built, that they're continually hearkening back to things that were. And several of you guys have both said it a couple times that Disney isn't doing things on accident. Everything in here means something, and I suspect that we're going to find out what it means next week. So it'd be great to go back and look through and go, you know, I should have seen this in episode 2. You know, when he tied his shoes that way, that became important later. You know, that kind of stuff. You know, I mean,
he didn't make bunny ears. Look, he made bunny ears, and that led up to Senior Scratchy. And
that's
so.
Right. Yes, at the beginning of Mephisto, and you know, I would also tell you that next week I'm looking forward to seeing either Tom Hiddleston or Benedict Cumberbatch show up.
Yeah,
that's one of those two.
I'm
gonna get one of those two.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I hope so. I'm hoping. Go ahead, David.
Well, first of all, Disney, everything I said is with love. So remember that. All my criticisms there. It's with love. Mean it. I love Pat's idea about watching all the episodes again. Get yourself back so you can see this. Get your popcorn ready. This is going to be fantastic. This has been wonderful television. This little mini season they had, it's just been beautifully done, put together. Everybody's great. If you love those old shows, maybe you go onto Netflix or one of those TV shows, those channels that shows the old shows. If you're not used to them, watch some Mary Tyler Moore, watch some Modern Family or Brady Bunch or all of those great shows. You probably find some joy, maybe a little bit of solace in this COVID time, just like Wanda's character as a little kid did, having a tough time getting lost in those old shows. I know I did as a kid. I loved it. So watch those shows and be ready as we all mask up and be ready for our next Cape Crusader event.
It's gonna be a big one. So my prediction is that Agatha is there to mentor her and help her with magic, along with Doctor Strange. Hayward is Hydra, and Monica Rambeau will help come in to save the day, and that the vision will be I don't even want it to pass my lips, so I don't want what I think might happen to pass my lips, and hopefully it might come true. But we will all see. Definitely take a look at the episodes, go back, binge them. And for those of you who like to binge the entire season, you'll be able to do that next week. But it's been fun watching them week by week by week. So
painful fun.
Yeah, it's been fun. So the anticipation will be at its peak next week. I tried to stay up and watch it at 3:00 in the morning.
Oh, wow.
I just couldn't do it.
What's wrong with you?
Do it. So next week we'll be here ready to go. So return to us next week for the finale. This is it. It won't be any more episodes of WandaVision right here, our review on PJamma Life. Take care. Have a good week. Stay safe. Wear your mask, social distance, and get a vaccine if you can.
That's
We'll
right.
take care. See you next week. Bye.
Yeah.